distilled grain and fennel. It boasts an alcohol content of over 45% and was first produced in Switzerland in the late 1700s. Absinthe became hugely popular in Europe during the 1800s and made its way to the United States by 1878, but its stay was short-lived. The drink, often called the Green Fairy because of its emerald color, is typically served by pouring it over ice and sugar cubes to dilute it. Sometimes it's even consumed straight, which showcases its intense potency.
Ooh. It's really good.
Absinthe tastes similar to Sambuca, with a flavor reminiscent of black licorice. People often debate its taste, but it undeniably leaves a mild bitterness. In addition to its legendary status among artists and writers like Vincent van Gogh and Ernest Hemingway, absinthe's reputation for causing hallucinations led to its ban. Interestingly, since 2007, absinthe has made a comeback in the US under strict regulations, provided it contains no thujone, the compound once believed to induce hallucinations. Number 14. Casu marzu. Maggots are not something most people enjoy thinking about, let alone eating. The mere thought of legless larvae wriggling through decaying matter is enough to make anyone queasy. However, there exists a cheese called casu marzu that is intentionally infested with maggots. If you're eating right now, you might want to take a break, as things are about to get quite revolting. Casu marzu is an Italian cheese made from sheep milk, intentionally infested with the larvae of cheese flies. Although now illegal to purchase throughout Europe and much of the world, this supposed delicacy has a following. Despite the ban, many enthusiasts go to great lengths, even resorting to the black market, to get a taste of this controversial cheese. Are they insane? It certainly seems so. Casu marzu originates from Sardinia and is known for its unique production process. The larvae digest the fats in the cheese, creating a soft texture and distinct flavor. Typically, it is consumed while the maggots are still alive, which adds to the shock factor. The European Union banned the cheese due to health regulations, but it remains a cultural staple in Sardinia, where locals defend its tradition fiercely. Number 13. Horse meat. Horse meat is undoubtedly one of the most controversial items on this list. Though it might sound unappealing to many, horse meat has been and can be consumed by humans. Despite the emotional attachment many have to horses, the truth is that their meat is rich in iron, high in protein, and low in fat, making it nutritionally beneficial. When cooked, horse meat is often compared to beef in taste.
We should try this first, even though they don't usually eat it like this.
However, the idea of eating horse meat is disturbing to many because horses are beloved as pets and esteemed for their roles in sport and work. Despite this, in some places, horses are slaughtered specifically for their meat, a practice that is highly criticized. In certain parts of Europe and Asia, horse meat is considered a delicacy and is an integral part of local cuisine. In the United States, however, the sale of horse meat for human consumption was banned in 2007, driven by ethical concerns and the deep emotional bonds many Americans have with horses. Advocates for lifting the ban argue for its nutritional benefits, while opponents cite ethical considerations. I'm not sure about you, but when it comes to food, I tend to be quite discerning. I'm not talking about being picky, but rather ensuring what I eat is safe. This might sound dull to some, but to me, it's just common sense. What do you think? Number 12. Sassafras oil. Sassafras oil is considered a natural supplement and additive. However, despite being classified in this group, it has a notorious reputation among those who have used it. This tree-based herbal supplement dates back centuries and has often been enjoyed in tea and gumbo. The ingredient certainly gained popularity during its heyday. However, by today's standards, there are numerous reasons to avoid it. The plant-based ingredient is now deemed unsafe for human consumption in the United States and many other countries. One major reason for this decision is its link to cancer diagnoses. When tested on rats in the late 70s, it was found to cause cancer development. Technically, humans would need to consume much larger amounts to achieve the same results, but the risk is enough to deter many people.
The root bark is this here.
In addition to its potential carcinogenic effects, Sassafras oil has been associated with other severe health issues. The oil contains safrole, a compound that can induce liver damage. This led to the FDA banning its use in commercially produced foods and drugs. Historically, sassafras oil was also used as a flavoring agent in root beer, but its use was prohibited due to health concerns. Despite its appealing scent and flavor, the dangers outweigh any benefits it might offer. Other common symptoms of sassafras oil toxicity include abdominal pain, diarrhea, dizziness, hallucinations, low blood pressure, nausea, rapid breathing, rapid heartbeat, shallow breathing, and vomiting. Sounds positively charming, doesn't it? Number 11. Chilean sea bass. Chilean sea bass is the name given to the Patagonian toothfish by Lee Lance in 1977. This unique species of cod icefish is found in the deep, cold waters of the southern hemisphere. The fish can live up to 50 years and reach lengths of 7 feet or more. They can also weigh up to 22 pounds at harvest. The fish is said to taste similar to cod when cooked. The species is quite sustainable in most parts of the world. However, there are some places where fishing for this species is illegal due to decreasing numbers. Many vessels and fisheries collapsed and shut down in the late 90s and early 2000s because of overfishing. Chilean sea bass has a distinctive flavor and texture, making it a favorite among seafood lovers. Its flesh is rich and buttery, often described as melt-in-your-mouth delicious. This high demand has led to overfishing, pushing the species towards endangerment in certain regions. Efforts have been made to promote sustainable fishing practices, but illegal fishing continues to pose a significant threat. With the future of the species uncertain in some parts of the world, prices for the sea bass continue to rise. But don't take this as an opportunity to make a little extra money on the side. No matter how tasty a fish is, it's not worth forcing it into extinction, right? Number 10. Ortolan. This rare French songbird is a very tiny creature, and quite possibly one of the rarest delicacies on the planet. The ortolan is a very fragile bird, weighing less than an ounce and smaller than your thumb. The bird was pretty much exclusively served to royals and rich gourmands. However, by 1999, it was completely outlawed for consumption. The bird was usually enveloped in fat and was said to have a slight taste of hazelnut when served hot and fresh. The primary reason it was banned was likely the result of its cruel preparation method. The bird would be kept in darkness for weeks and force-fed grains and grapes until it became significantly larger. Still alive, they were then thrown into a vat of Armagnac brandy, which essentially drowned them before they were roasted. Interestingly, the tradition of eating ortolan was shrouded in ritual. Diners would cover their heads with a napkin to hide the act from God and to intensify the sensory experience. This clandestine dining practice added a layer of mystery and exclusivity to the already rare dish. Despite its historical significance, the method of preparation raised ethical concerns among animal rights activists and environmentalists. As barbaric as the preparation sounds, this wasn't even the main reason for the ban. The ban was instead put in place because of the bird's decreasing population and endangerment. It was listed as a protected species by the European Union in 1979, but France took an extra 20 years to finally act on the ruling, banning the practice in 1999. Number 9. Foie gras. Perhaps the smallest item on this list, foie gras has quite a following and is a heavily requested dish in French restaurants.
Yeah? Nicely.
The butter-like textured combination of duck or goose liver is known to sell for as much as $125 per kilogram. The price alone is quite controversial, but that's not the only issue with this sought-after dish. For it to even exist, many birds are tragically force-fed in a method that increases their liver size to almost 10 times its normal size. As you can imagine, animal rights activists find this to be cruel and unacceptable, as would anyone with a heart. Interestingly, the controversy around foie gras isn't just about the ethics of its production. The method, known as gavage, dates back to ancient Egypt, where it was considered a delicacy. Despite its historical roots, modern animal welfare standards have prompted many countries to reconsider its production. Some chefs argue that foie gras can be produced humanely, but these claims are often met with skepticism. New York City introduced a ban in 2022. This move will make New York similar to California, Australia, and India, which prohibit any dishes like foie gras to promote the importance of animal rights. If you'd like to try the dish before it's gone, it's said to have a smooth texture and rich taste, usually served with truffles and spread on toast. Number 8. Queen Conch. This food appears to be available only in the Bahamas, making it a true specialty dish. Queen conch is often compared to calamari, with meat that is firm, white, and has a chewy texture. Conch is usually eaten steamed or deep-fried, or in some cases raw with fresh vegetables. Conch is a large marine mollusk. They are soft-bodied and belong to the same taxonomic group as clams, oysters, octopuses, and squids. They tend to hang out in warm, shallow coral reefs or seagrass beds and can reach up to 12 inches in length. Some have lived for almost 40 years. Can you imagine how tough they might be to eat? In the past, queen conch was also found in significant numbers in Florida. However, since the 70s, there has been a dramatic decline in their population. This change is attributed to over-harvesting, leading to the practice becoming illegal in the state. Overfishing has devastated the population of these mollusks, pushing them to the brink of endangerment. Conservation efforts have been implemented to protect their habitats and ensure their survival. The drastic change in their numbers has led to the species being heavily regulated. The United States alone consumes around 80% of the world's internationally traded queen conch, so it's definitely a popular dish. This high demand continues to put pressure on their population, making it crucial to monitor and manage their harvesting carefully. Now it's time for the sweet topic. Did you know you're not allowed to eat bulls in the USA? In other countries, it's perfectly normal, but not the States. In the States, they're not perceived as something that should be eaten, even though cows are. In the States, bulls are used entirely for breeding rather than eating. It sort of makes sense, we guess, though it feels like another case of male privilege. Before anyone yells in the comments, that was a joke. Leave me alone. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below using the hashtag #SweetTopic. Number 7. Sea turtles. The thought of eating a turtle in any form is deeply disturbing to many. However, it is said to be relatively flavorsome for an unusual reason. Depending on what part of the turtle is being consumed, you can experience tastes similar to that of chicken, veal, pork, and even fish. This explains why the sea turtle became such a popular item on the menu in the United States many years ago. The turtles were used for a variety of different dishes, including several types of soups. Over time, this particular delicacy vanished from American cuisine. The reason for this is quite clear. Sea turtles are now protected due to their declining numbers. Their slow reproduction rates and habitat loss have contributed to their endangered status. The green sea turtle species in particular is heavily protected, as Americans don't want to risk their extinction. Today, the green sea turtle is listed under the Endangered Species Act, making it illegal to consume them. If you are found eating one, you are committing a felony and likely to be prosecuted. Conservation efforts continue to focus on protecting these ancient mariners, ensuring they remain part of our natural heritage for future generations. Number 6. Kinder Surprise eggs. This one's quite an interesting story because many around the world will be left scratching their heads. These delicious milky chocolate eggs are still available globally. However, for some reason, the United States has banned them. Kinder Surprise eggs have been popular choices for children around the globe. The hollow eggs are incredibly sweet, and inside each egg, there is a small constructible toy. Bonus, right? Well, in some cases, no. The United States has kept these off their shelves for safety purposes. The Kinder Egg has small parts inside that could easily be swallowed by young children. Alternatively, they may not be aware of the toy and just try to eat the egg, biting into the toy or the small capsule that holds it. This law wasn't written specifically for Kinder eggs, as it's been in place since the 1930s. The law states that any candy with non-food related objects inside can be disastrous for children and cannot be sold. Interestingly, despite the ban, Kinder eggs have a significant following in the US, with some fans finding creative ways to import them. The company has also introduced a modified version, Kinder Joy, which complies with US regulations. Unfortunate for Kinder, but definitely understandable, don't you think? The law prioritizes child safety, and while it may seem overprotective, it's better to be safe than sorry. Number 5. Ackee fruit. Probably one of the most understandable food choices that citizens of the US prefer to avoid, unripened ackee fruit can have disastrous consequences on the human body. It can result in the horrific metabolic syndrome, also known as Jamaican vomiting sickness. This condition includes severe vomiting, altered mental states, and hypoglycemia. Some cases have even involved bizarre scenarios such as seizures, hypothermia, comas, and even death. The only real medical treatment for this is with intravenous fluids and dextrose. The fruit can be safely consumed over time as it ripens, with the hypoglycemic levels dropping to make it safe for humans. However, this can still be risky, as the levels might not drop sufficiently, and the fruit could still cause harm to the body. Historically, ackee fruit is a staple in Jamaican cuisine, especially when paired with salted codfish in the national dish, ackee and saltfish. The fruit was introduced to Jamaica from West Africa in the 18th century and has since become deeply ingrained in the island's culinary culture. Despite its risks, ackee is beloved for its creamy texture and subtle, nutty flavor when properly prepared. Ripe ackee fruit can be identified by its yellowish-red color with very visible black seeds.
You take the seeds, and you look carefully if there's anything inside.
Unripe fruits should be easily spotted, as they appear greenish-yellow and the seeds aren't nearly as easy to see, resembling a closed book. Cooking the fruit does not eliminate the risks of consuming it unripe. The United States has been fortunate to have only a few cases of the fruit causing toxicity. Studies have shown that pediatric patients and the malnourished are the most at risk. Therefore, it is safe to say that Americans will continue to distance themselves from this dangerous fruit. Number 4. Beluga caviar. Beluga caviar consists of the roe, or eggs, of the beluga sturgeon, a fish found in the Caspian Sea bordering Iran, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Turkmenistan. Beluga caviar is unique and by far the most expensive of its kind, with prices reaching as high as $10,000 per kilogram. The dish has become quite controversial since it made its way to menus, as the beluga sturgeon is considered an endangered species and is at a critical status. Because of this, the United States has understandably placed a ban on the consumption of the fish and the caviar dish, and this has been the case since 2005. The ban was a significant move in the conservation efforts to protect the beluga sturgeon, which can live up to 100 years and does not reach reproductive maturity until around 15 years of age. The slow reproductive rate makes the species particularly vulnerable to overfishing. Environmentalists have lauded the ban as a necessary step to prevent the extinction of this ancient species. However, the demand for beluga caviar has led to illegal poaching and a black market trade that continues to threaten the sturgeon's survival. The practice was also suspended in 2006 in all potential countries of trade, including China, Bulgaria, Iran, Kazakhstan, Romania, Serbia, and Russia. This suspension was temporarily lifted in 2007 with the eventual sale of around 96 tons of caviar. The caviar has made a comeback in recent years, but is still frowned upon considering the poor sturgeon's status. Unfortunately, increasing the price has not made the situation any better, as it has only fueled the black market and illegal poaching activities. Number 3. Haggis. This Scottish dish was humorously referenced by Scotsman groundskeeper Willie in one of The Simpsons' classic Treehouse of Horror episodes. In the episode, Bart, looking visibly confused, asks, "What's haggis?" after reading Willie's mind.
Just have a look at that. Now the crazy thing about this is it doesn't taste awfully.
The reason for Bart's confusion is that haggis isn't a dish seen or served in the States. This has been the case since 1971 when it was banned from the country. The mainly Scottish cuisine is prepared using minced-up offal, the formal term for the scraps of an animal. There's no specific list, but sheep lungs, for example, are considered offal. This ingredient alone might cause anyone to question why people in Scotland enjoy it and agree that the US made a good call in banning it. However, the Scots would argue that it's absolutely sublime. Haggis has been a traditional Scottish dish for centuries, and it holds a special place in the culture, particularly during Burns Night, a celebration of the poet Robert Burns. The dish is often accompanied by recitations of Burns's poetry, adding to its cultural significance. It's usually served with neeps and tatties, turnips and potatoes, and washed down with a dram of whiskey. Haggis has a similar texture to that of a crumbly sausage with an oaty texture and peppery flavor. It dates back centuries for the Scots and is widely known as a dish of tradition in the country. Despite its ban in the United States, haggis continues to be a cherished dish in Scotland, symbolizing Scottish heritage and culinary tradition. Number 2. Japanese pufferfish. You shouldn't make too many Simpsons references, but who could forget when Homer Simpson almost died after eating this famous Japanese dish following his visit to a sushi restaurant? The real-life version of fugu is not much different from what was shown in the Season 2 episode, One Fish, Two Fish, Blowfish, Bluefish. The Japanese pufferfish contains an extremely toxic poison called tetrodotoxin, which is held in its organs. It is a dish that is absolutely deadly, but has been widely prepared and eaten for hundreds of years across Japan. There have, however, been multiple fatalities. Today it is still available and widely requested, although it must be prepared with the utmost care by experienced chefs. The dish itself is apparently magnificent, with its very chewy texture, rather subtle flavor, and high protein content. The preparation of fugu is highly regulated in Japan, requiring chefs to undergo rigorous training and certification to handle and serve the fish safely. This process can take several years to complete, highlighting the dish's potential danger and the skill required to prepare it. Despite the risks, fugu is considered a delicacy and is often enjoyed during special occasions. Fugu was originally only available as food for the upper class. However, over the years, it has grown in popularity and is now readily available for all who are interested. The dish is still quite pricey though, so you're probably best not to splash out your hard-earned cash anytime soon. Not only might it shorten your life, but it will also lighten your wallet as well. Number 1. Shark fins. If you haven't heard of shark finning, it's bound to revolt you in some way, especially if it's introduced to you by Gordon Ramsay. In fact, the very thought of a bowl with shark fins in it is extremely unappetizing. Worse still, to even get to the kitchen, an individual must cut off a shark's fin while it's still alive. The poor beast is then promptly returned to the water, where it's left to die in obvious discomfort. Unsurprisingly, this is a controversial business, but the demand is so great, many people's livelihoods depend on it. Particularly popular in China and Hong Kong, demand has risen extensively over the last 2 decades. The dish itself dates back over a century in Chinese tradition. The funny thing about the soup itself is its lack of flavor. It's such a sought-after dish, yet is said to contain almost no taste or nutritional value at all. Shark fin soup is often served at Chinese weddings and banquets as a symbol of wealth and prestige. The fins provide texture rather than flavor, which is why the soup typically relies on broth made from chicken, beef, or other ingredients to give it taste. Despite its cultural significance, the practice of shark finning has devastating environmental impacts. In fact, most recommend adding something to the dish, such as herbs and spices, or possibly even some chicken or beef stock. The soup is also used as a medicine for the flu and other illnesses. It's fair to say this soup is even considered a delicacy among many. However, in the United States, it rarely hits the menu. Some believe that is due to how it tastes, but the truth could simply be that leading so many sharks to slaughter for such an average dish just doesn't appeal. Regardless of how you feel about these ocean-dwelling predators, it's clear that if they disappeared off the face of the earth, the ecosystem could be severely disrupted or even destroyed. All this for a bowl of soup. Doesn't sound worthwhile, does it? Would you like to try any of these dishes? Let us know. See you next time.
It takes over 40 gallons of sap to make just 1 jug of real maple syrup. That's why one of these bottles can cost $10. And grocery stores are flooded with imitation syrups that don't have any maple sap at all. In fact, tons of expensive foods we love eating might not be the real thing, including wasabi, vanilla, and truffle oil.
The main reason why this happens, it's all about money.
Some of this is legal, as long as products that aren't the real deal disclose it on the packaging, even if it's a bit sneaky. But often, it's illegal, with entire criminal rings behind these counterfeit foods. Globally, the fraudulent food industry could be worth $40 billion.
The sort of least end of it, you're getting ripped off. At the worst end, you're literally getting poisoned.
So how did fake food take over our grocery stores, restaurants, and kitchens? And how do counterfeiters get away with it? We travel around the world to learn how to spot the real stuff. First up, truffles. Hate to break it to you, but your $15 truffle fries don't have any truffle on them.
What is called truffle oil is entirely made in a laboratory, has nothing to do with mushrooms.
Real truffles are pricey and rare, and they need specific conditions to grow, usually in places like Italy and France, or here in the UK.
Truffles are always found with trees, and they have to be the right type of trees. Under the ground, the truffle is just the fruiting body, so in equivalent of an apple.
We used to train pigs to find the fungi, but now mostly dogs do the sniffing.
Good boy, thank you, good boy, come. So he's told us it's there, it's still in the ground, so do I want to take it out of the ground or not? It all depends on if it's ripe. If it's unripe, there's no point in having it. So the nose comes into play, and we actually sniff the ground for it. Yeah, that's a nice one. Yeah, that's probably about 70, 80 grams.
Here are Grandma's 40.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into something super fascinating, the 12 laws of the universe. These laws are like the rules of a cosmic game that influence everything around us and even inside us. Understanding them can truly help you navigate life and boost your personal growth. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's explore these laws together. The law of divine oneness. So to kick things off, we have the law of divine oneness. This one is pretty straightforward. It emphasizes that everything and everyone is connected. Imagine a giant web where every strand influences the others. This law is a reminder that our thoughts, actions, and feelings ripple out to affect everything around us. Next time you're feeling down, remember, your vibe impacts the whole universe. The law of vibration. Next up is the law of vibration. Everything around us vibrates at its own frequency, yes, even you. This law tells us that positive thoughts create high vibrations, while negative thoughts can bring you down. Picture it like tuning a radio. When you find the right frequency, everything sounds amazing. How you choose to vibrate can totally change your reality. So let's aim for those good vibes, folks. The law of correspondence. Now let's chat about the law of correspondence. Think of it like this. The patterns we see in the universe are reflected in our lives. If you look closely, you'll notice that your inner world often mirrors your outer world, like a cosmic reflection. For example, if you feel peaceful inside, your surroundings may start to feel more balanced too. It goes both ways, so keep that in mind. The law of attraction. On to a crowd favorite, the law of attraction. This law states that like attracts like. Basically, your thoughts and energy can bring similar experiences into your life. So if you focus on positive things, you're likely to attract positive outcomes. But remember, it's not just about wishing for something. You need to put in the effort too. Manifesting is a mix of thinking positively and taking action. The law of inspired action. Which brings us to our next law, the law of inspired action. It's one thing to dream big, but a whole different ball game to take steps toward those dreams. When you feel that nudge to do something, listen to it. It's your inner guidance pushing you forward. It could be as simple as sending an email or signing up for a class. Little actions create big changes. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Now here's a juicy one. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This law tells us that energy is forever changing and evolving. If you find yourself in a negative situation, don't panic. This law allows you to transform that energy into something positive. Just think of it like turning lemons into lemonade. When you shift your perspective, you can create a whole new reality for yourself. The law of cause and effect. Moving on, we have the law of cause and effect. Pretty relatable, right? Every action you take has a reaction. Think of it as tossing a stone into a pond. It creates ripples. Being mindful of what you do can help you create better outcomes in your life. The small things you choose to do every day really add up, so choose wisely. The law of compensation. Now let's talk about the law of compensation. This law is all about balance. It says that you are rewarded based on your efforts. If you put in the hard work, the universe will see that. This law encourages us to stay persistent, as the returning gifts might not show up immediately. Just keep your chin up. Your efforts will pay off. The law of relativity. Next, we have the law of relativity. This one can change your perspective. It reminds us that everything is relative. Your struggles may seem huge, but in the grand scheme of the universe, they might just be a tiny blip. Understanding this can help you put things in perspective and accept challenges with a lighter heart. The law of gender. We're almost there. The law of gender is all about balance, the balance between masculine and feminine energies. It doesn't refer to gender in the traditional sense, but rather the qualities we all possess. Embracing both sides can lead to a more harmonious life. So let's celebrate our unique energies and find that sweet spot. The law of rhythm. Finally, we have the law of rhythm. This law reminds us that everything flows in cycles. Just like the changing seasons, life has its ups and downs. Recognizing the rhythms of life can help you embrace change instead of fighting it. Remember, after every storm, there's a rainbow waiting for you. And there you have it, the 12 laws of the universe. I hope this gives you a better understanding of how these cosmic principles can impact your life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-expanding content. Until next time, keep vibrating high and living your truth.
I wonder if it's ever
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into something super fascinating, the 12. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into some seriously fascinating ideas that blend spirituality and philosophy. We're talking about God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and even the law of attraction. It's a big mix, but trust me, it all connects in a way that's pretty incredible. First up, let's talk about God. Now, whether you're coming from a religious background or just curious, God represents a higher power, the ultimate creator. Depending on who you ask, God can be seen as a personal being, an abstract force, or even the universe itself. What's super interesting is God's role as the creator.